think you're the coolest. Who would ever wanna be like you? You left my heart in pain. Yeah, you don't have to admit it now.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with an exciting video. Today we are playing with the Anastasia Riviera palette, which is hotly anticipated. We have been waiting for Anastasia to give us color for the longest time. And not just a pop of color, my friend, all of the color. Well, I mean, this is not all of the colors, it's 12 colors, but I mean, for an Anastasia palette, this is more colorful than we've ever seen. The arrangement is a pretty interesting assortment of colors, and I'm happy to be diving into this today. Now, I will be honest with you and tell you that I did not have the easiest time doing the first look, and I ran into a little snafu or two here and there with this palette. It wasn't a completely flawless experience, but you'll see as we go along that, you know, we tweak and we figure it out. And I will give you my full thoughts on what I think of this palette at the end of the video, because truly my thoughts developed a lot and changed as I used it for more than one look. So as far as the looks themselves are concerned, I tried to give a little bit of variety in them. Honestly, I wound up using mostly the brights in here. I don't think I even went into the neutrals that are in there at all. But hello, this palette is about the brights, so I'm not exactly worried about it. The first look is very precise and very like structured. The second one, which is inspired by somebody I follow on Instagram named TENCHAINZZ. I'll show you her photo that inspired me as I do the look so you can see what I'm talking about. But the second one was inspired by her. It's a little bit more loose. It's a little bit more like ethereal looking. And then the third one is what I'm wearing right now. It's a little bit simple, a little bit more, the shape is a little bit outside of the norm, but I think it's really fun and it's very easy to recreate. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit less, I don't want to say skill intensive, because it does require a winged eyeliner, which is a skill in and of itself, but it's a little bit less time intensive, the third one is going to be your shit. As I usually do with my 3 looks videos, I will timestamp each look down below, so in case you are really more interested in one than the others and you don't have all the time in the world, you can feel free to jump down there and jump around, come back, watch the other ones later, whatever you want to do. And like I said, at the end, I'll do like a little first impression style review of what I think of this palette. I'll also list all of the other products that I use in this video in the description, and if there's ever a question about anything that I have, that I use, that I do in these videos that I don't answer either in the video or in the description, please feel free to leave me a comment and I'll do my best to get back to you about it to the best of my ability. Sometimes you guys ask questions and I'm like, I don't know, but I always do my best to answer them. Before we get into it, don't forget to tap that like button on this video. It really helps me out a lot and I always appreciate it. And if you are new here, if you've gone through maybe a video or two and you're lurking around and you're thinking that maybe you want to subscribe, I would like to take this moment to encourage you to do so, because I would love to have you around. We've got lots of looks to do and we've got lots of thoughts to think about this palette. So I'm gonna zip it and let's get right into the first look. Okay, so for the first look, I'm gonna go into this shade here. This is called Coastline, and this is kind of a neutral, but it's a little bit warm. There's a hint of an orange coral to it. I'm picking that up on a MAC 217 brush, and I'm gonna use this through the crease area, bringing that up above my crease to make sure the color actually sticks out a little bit when we put more shades on the lid. And with a clean blending brush, I'm just going to soften the edge. I'm gonna pick up a BH number 7 brush and I'm gonna go into the shade Monte Carlo. And I'm gonna put a little bit of that deeper into the crease area. It's a little bit darker and a little bit more pink. Now I'm gonna go into the shade Bahamas on a Real Technique shading brush, and I'm gonna press that over the whole lid. So this color is giving me a little bit of fallout, but all things considered, you know, like how bright and how pigmented this is and how soft it seems to be in the pan, it's not really giving me a ton. Like, it definitely could be worse. Could be a lot worse. I'm gonna pick up that same MAC 217 and a little bit more of the shade Monte Carlo, and I was going to use that to blend that shade Bahamas into the crease colors that we put down. Now that that wash of pink kind of background is down, I want to deepen up the outer portion a little bit. So I'm gonna go into this purple shade Chem on a pencil brush. This is a Sigma E30, and I'm going to use that to kind of create like a C shape in the outer corner and bring it up into the crease. I feel like back in the day on YouTube, everybody talked about doing the C shape in the outer corner, and I feel like nobody says that anymore. So that purple is blending away a little bit when I try to blend. I'll zoom you in so you can see a little bit more closely what I mean. So when I tried to blend the purple into the outer corner, it just kind of lifted the shadows that were underneath it. A lot of times it's just a matter of working with them a little bit differently. So I'm going to try to do that and make that work in that outer corner. So I'm trying to use packing motions rather than doing swiping motions, because sometimes with super pigmented shadows, the swiping motion picks them up and moves them away. But even with just packing motions, I'm getting super uneven coverage with this color in my corner. So I haven't even attempted to really blend that yet, and that's what I'm getting, and it's not cute. Okay, on this side, it worked perfectly fine. I haven't blended out every bit of the edge yet, but packing it down and not attempting to blend it really at all right away, and then just going on the outer edge and blending that is working much better than whatever this is happening on this side. So what I'm gonna do is just wipe off this outer corner with a makeup wipe, reprime it, and start over on this eye, and then I will be right back and we will continue the rest of this look, because right at this moment, this is not really, this side is not working for me.
3 hours later.
Okay, I have been sitting here packing and tapping and gently blending and packing and tapping again for, what time is it? 1:30? It's been about 30 minutes now. This is the best I could get out of the purple. It's like, I would say like 80% of the way there on this eye. Like, it's acceptable. I could wear this, but it's still not perfect. And like, I had to put so much more on than I wanted to, because it just, I had to keep going back into it again. This eye, for some reason, worked a lot better and was easier to get where it needs to be. And it's, I mean, it's not the best blend of my life, but it's better than this side. So, I mean, I don't really know what else to do to try to get this purple to work, because like, honestly, a lot of shadows do things like this where they kind of pick up and leave a little bit of a patchy space. And usually I know how to be like, okay, well, I have to do this and make it more precise, blend it more carefully, and then it works. But this is like doing that before I even blend it all. So I don't know what to do about that. For now, this is what we're working with, so I'm gonna move on. I'm going to go into the shade Cabana. I'm picking up a little bit of that on a pencil brush, and I'm going to blend that in on the inner corner. I'm just gonna use this to brighten it up a little bit and add just a little bit, something different, a little bit of a different shade in here. It's such an interesting color, this one, because it's like, sort of like, it's like a mustardy yellow. It almost has a little bit of green to it. I'm also noticing that that shade looks way darker on the skin than it does in the pan, which is interesting because this is reading as like a brown right now, and that's what it looks like in the pan. So to brighten that up, since it's a little bit darker than I was expecting it to be, I'm gonna go into the shade Inheritance on a smaller pencil brush, and I'm just gonna put that on the inner corner. Okay, that's more along the lines of what I was looking for sure. I want to add a colorful liner to this. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of the Kat Von D brow pomade in the color Lemmy Green and mix in a tiny bit of the shade Daffodil. I'm doing that on the back of my hand. I already have it mixed, so I'll show you what it looks like. It's definitely much more of the green than it is the yellow. And on a skinny little nail art brush, I'm going to use that to do a winged liner. And once the outline's down, I'm gonna pick up a Sigma EO6 winged liner brush. It's just a little bit bigger, and use that to fill the middle in, because if I do that with the nail art brush, it's gonna take a really long time. So originally I intended for this color to be a little bit more of like a classic rich green shade. And the way it looks now that it's dried down a little bit is more like a turquoise, like a bright turquoise. And I'm not upset about that at all. I actually really like the way that looks. But I realize now that I could have done this with the Suva Beauty Hydro Liner in the shade Freezy, and it would have been a lot easier and I wouldn't have had to mix anything. So just FYI, If you have Freezy or if you like the Hydra liners, you can definitely get this exact effect with that color and not have to mix two shades together. I'm gonna pick up a clean version of the Sigma EO6 brush. I'm gonna go into the shade Seychelles, and I'm gonna take that shade and I'm gonna press it over that liner. And by doing that, the color pretty much stays the same, but you get more of like a metallic finish. And you can also kind of soften the edges where you may have made any little mistakes with the liner. All right, I cleaned up under there, and now I'm gonna go back into the shade Bahamas. This time on a Luxe 111 Mini. And I'm gonna start packing that into the lower lash line. And it's gonna blend the edge of that softly with the MAC 221S. I'm really hesitant to even do this because I don't want to struggle with the purple again, but I did want a little bit of that purple on the lower lash line as well. So I'm gonna go back into the purple shade on a flat brush, and I'm just gonna push it into the lower lashes. I figure in such a small space, what could really go wrong, right? I also want to brighten up the waterline, so I'm using the Benefit Roller Eye Bright. And now that that's done, I am going to pop off camera, add some mascara, and put on some lashes. All right, I added the House of Lashes Stella Luxe Lash. I used the Lancome Monsieur Big Mascara. I used my favorite MAC Hyper Real Glow for a highlight. And now it is time to add a lip. And I want to keep the lip as Simple Simon as possible because I don't want to overwhelm this color, but I do want to tie in the pinky mauviness of it because I feel like that'll help the look more complete. So I'm going to use my Nabla lip pencil in the shade Touch Me. And I'm going to use the MAC lip gloss in the shade Heart Melter. This is from the Boom Boom Bloom collection. I recently reviewed this, and this color has become a very fast favorite of mine. If you haven't seen that video yet and you'd like to, I will link it up here on the screen. But I think this combination will tie in nicely with the colors without overwhelming the eye look. And this is the first look. Okay, look number 2, we're back. My hair is wet, and I primed my eyes a little bit differently today because I wanted to see if maybe the mattes in this palette perform a little bit better over a different type of eye primer than the original one that I used. For the first look, I used the Urban Decay Primer Potion in the color Eden, which is my go-to eye primer, but whenever a shadow doesn't perform the way I like it to, I like to switch it up the second round and see if it works better over something else. So today I just used concealer. I used the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Sculpting Concealer over my whole lid, and I did not set it. But to start, we're gonna go back into the shade Coastline again, this time on a Morphe M433 brush, and I'm going to put that slightly above my crease, but not quite as high as I did yesterday. I'm gonna go into the shade Cabana on a BH number 7 brush. I'm just going to blend that really, really lightly around the edge of that last shade, almost to create a little bit of a sunset effect with those two colors. Next, I'm going to go into Monte Carlo. On the same BH number 7 brush, I just wiped this off in between, and I'm going to use that right in the center portion of the crease, the creasiest area of the crease. I'm going to pick up a MAC 242 flat brush, and I'm going to use that to go into the shade Mediterranean, which is this blue that's very, very shimmery looking. I'm excited to play with this one. I'm picking some of that up on my flat brush, and I'm going to wet it with a little bit of Fix Plus. And I'm going to put that over most of my lid, but I'm going to leave a little bit in the center open. I'm going to pick up my Sigma E36 brush and back into the purple shade Can. And I'm going to use that to blend the blue into the crease. And again, I'm not going to take it into the center because I'm leaving the center portion open to do something a little bit different with it. I'm also immediately noticing that this purple is performing better today, and I think it's a combination of different primer, but also the brush that I'm using. I'm picking up very, very little of the purple on this brush and then tickling it into the crease with a more fluffy textured brush, and I think that that's a better way to apply it, just to kind of really, really build it up slowly and not get too much product on at one time. For this center space here, I'm going to go into the shade Seychelles again. Also picking that up on a flat MAC 221S brush, and I'm gonna wet it with Fix Plus. And I'm just putting that right in the center where I didn't put the blue Mediterranean shade. And on my Luxe 141 mini round brush, I'm gonna pick up a little bit of that shade Dry, and I'm gonna just continue that color up past the crease, but in a more concentrated area and also not as intense. So it's just kind of going to fade up in a little bit of almost a harlequin shape. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this look is inspired by a look by TENCHAINZZ that I've kind of done something similar to before, and I wanted to revisit it today. Her look looked like this. So to start preparing for the little spotlight effect in the center with like the starburst, bringing this shade up in like a more loose form kind of starts to get that shape going. I'm also going to take that same brush and go back into the shade Mediterranean, and I'm going to pack that around the sides because I don't want that color to get completely lost because I think it's so pretty. I'm going to pick up a clean Sigma EO6 winged liner brush, and I'm going to go into the shade Seaside. And I'm also going to wet that with Fix Plus, and I'm putting that just in the center portion of where we put down the turquoise shade. I think that this look can really benefit from some nice bright glitteriness in that spot too. So I'm gonna go into the shade Psychic from the Stella shade Mysterious, however you pronounce that. Just going to dot that in the middle, bringing that out to the sides a little bit in that starburst shape that we're gonna add. Now to add that little star shape, I'm gonna go into the Suva Beauty Hydro Liner in the color Space Panda. I'm gonna activate that with a little bit of Fix Plus, and I am going to create the shape using a little skinny nail art brush. Okay, I went ahead and finished the other eye. I swept away any excess powder and fallout that I had underneath my eyes, and now I want to add some smokiness to the lower lash line. So on a BH number 7, I'm gonna go into the shade Monte Carlo again, and I'm going to bring that underneath the eye and connect it into the top. I'm also gonna take this brush with a little bit of that shade, and I'm gonna bring a little bit extra of that color right into this inner corner and sort of blend it up toward my brow. It kind of gives the illusion of a little bit more lid space. I'm gonna go back into the purple again on a flat brush, and this time I'm going to pack it into my outer corner and bring that out toward that outer C shape so it connects into the top. And I'm gonna blend it with that small blending brush again. And again, I'm gonna brighten my waterline using the Benefit Roller Eye Bright. Okay, so I went ahead and added the House of Lashes Stella Luxe again, and I finished off my skin. I used the Cover FX Celestial drops, and I used the Anastasia Peachy Love Blush Trio, and I filled my moles in with the Urban Decay Brow Blade in Dark Drapes. For the lip, I want to keep it really simple because I don't, again, want to take away from what we have going on the eyes. So I'm going to keep it nude-ish, and I'm going to keep it matte today. So I'm going to line with the Kat Von D pencil in the color OG Lolita, and I'm going to fill it in with the Fenty Stunna lip paint in the color Unbutton. And this is the second look. Okay, it's time for look number 3. And you know, when I sat down here today, I was like, oh yeah, I have a plan. And then when I went to go pick up a brush and I looked at the palette again, I was like, you know what? I don't have a plan. So I'm just gonna wing it and we're gonna see where this goes. I kind of have an idea of like a shape maybe, and like maybe some color combinations that I want to play with. We'll see. But I'm gonna start by going into the color Estate, and I'm gonna put that just through my whole crease just to have like a nice base to start off of. Estate is just like a tiny bit darker than my skin tone, and it's also a little bit more peachy. Next, I'm gonna go back into the shade Bahamas. And I'm picking that up on my BH number 7 brush, and I'm gonna start to carve out this portion of my inner corner. I don't even know if that really is what you would call my inner corner. Just where my lid starts to meet my nose, we're gonna start carving out that shape, but I'm not gonna bring it all the way down into the tear duct portion of my inner corner. And I'm also gonna zoom in because you're too far away and you can't see what I'm talking about. And I'm gonna pick up the same brush that I used to put on the color Estate. I'm just gonna blend the edges of that softly, softly, softly. And I'm gonna go back into the color Bahamas and start building up the intensity in the center of that again, because as we blend it to make it soft, we lose some of the vibrancy. Next, I'm gonna go into this shimmering pink shade called Palermo. This is the first time I'm using this shade, and I'm gonna basically use it to highlight the center of the matte pink. Okay, I want to do a winged liner here, and I'm gonna do a colorful one, but because I want it to be really sharp and rich looking, I'm gonna start with a liquid liner and then go over it with color after. I'm gonna throw on a quick wing with the Benefit roller liner. And I'm tapering it so much that it's almost like a half liner, like the actual line doesn't even go all the way into the inside of my eye. I'm picking up the Urban Decay 24/7 pencil in the color Deepened, and I'm gonna put that through my waterline, and I'm smudging that a little bit under my lower lashes, but I'm also going to layer that a little bit over the end of the liner and sort of blend it up onto the black so that it becomes an ombre. So while the pencil is still a little movable, I'm just rubbing that in with a tiny little detail brush. I'm gonna go into the color Seychelles on a MAC 228 brush. This is a nice little flat brush, and I'm going to pack that onto the lower lash line where I put that liner down. Okay, so at this point, this portion of my lid in the center is pretty much bare, but I don't want it to be completely bare, because if I leave it completely bare, then whatever is there right now, it's concealer, or even if it was just like a proper eye primer, it's going to start to crease as the day goes on. So I'm gonna dip my MAC 221 into the color Estate, but also a little bit into the color Sail, so lighten it up a little bit. And I'm gonna place that on the center area of the lid and like blend that over into the pink a little. I'm gonna pick up that same little flat detailing brush as earlier, and I'm gonna go into the shade Mediterranean, and I'm gonna use that color to blend out the edge of the bottom of that turquoise color. I just feel like it'll just add a little something more and make it a little bit more interesting, and also kind of soften out that shade and make it more of an ombre effect, because Mediterranean is a little bit lighter. I'm gonna go over the entire edge of that bottom with a clean blending brush. All right, I used the same House of Lashes Stella Luxe Lash again. I added a few freckles this time using the same brow blade in the color Dark Drapes, and I added the same highlight and the same blush. Now I want to add a lip to this, and I feel like a nice complement to this look would be like a really juicy berry lip, which just so happens to be right at my disposal. So I'm gonna use the ColourPop Lippy Pencil. This is the shade Lumiere, and I'm just gonna use this as a base to kind of be like a My Lips But Better color and give my lips a little bit of shape. And I'm gonna use this beautiful juicy pink lip gloss. This is Cherry Mochi from the MAC Boom Boom Bloom collection. And this is the third look. Okay, so after doing 3 looks with this palette, I'm so glad that I did 3 looks instead of just trying to review it after I did 1, because if I had just done the first look, I think I would have come away saying that I don't like this palette. So after the first look, I felt like the purple shade, which is Cannes, like the film festival, I felt like that shade was like impossible to work with. It was just not working. But for the second look, I took a little bit of a different approach. I primed differently, and I felt like it performed much better. It was still difficult to work with, but it wasn't impossible. And a lot of times with a very pigmented shadow, the approach that I like to take is to pack color down and then blend the edges of where I want it to be blended very slowly, very lightly, and very precisely. But with this shade, that was not working at all. So I took a slightly different approach of putting a little bit of it there at a time and then building up and building up. Now, the reason I don't usually like to do that is because I find that I have a harder time getting the shape that I want in a precise way when I do it that way. But if that's the compromise that I have to make and that's how it's gonna blend, then whatever, I'll do it. The rest of the shades though were fantastic. Everything else in here blended properly. I didn't find that anything else was patchy. The shade Bahamas, which I think I wound up using in all three of these looks, it was a very, very vibrant, very vivid pink, and I felt like it performed really, really well. Sometimes a bright pink shade like that can be very difficult to work with too. But I found that this was really, really easy. I didn't have any issues and I didn't notice any staining, which is nice. Generally, I don't usually get a ton of staining, but I really didn't notice any at all with this one. One little thing that I noticed, and I actually went and looked up the swatches that ABH put out themselves, and I noticed the same thing on there as well. Cabana is a very yellowy shade in the pan, but depending on your skin tone, I think it's going to translate as a brown. So I noticed even in their swatches that the lighter skin tones that this was swatched on, it made it look more like a mustardy brown. The color in their swatches seems to correspond with the way that it looked when I applied it to myself. So if you are on the paler side like me, you may find that the color Cabana, instead of being like a mustardy yellow, is more like a mustardy brown. The color Mediterranean is absolutely stunning. The color Seychelles, also absolutely stunning. I only use a little bit of Palermo over the other pink color, but to be honest, it looks gorgeous. It's very reflective, and I used it dry, so that's without even wetting the brush. Seaside is beautiful. I'm not really one to gravitate toward a more cool toned shimmer on my eyes, but I could see it coming in handy to mix it with other shades. And the gold shade Inheritance was absolutely stunning, very, very metallic, and performed beautifully. I know a lot of people were complaining about the packaging on this palette. I think it's really clear what they're going for here with like this seaside sort of a theme. This feels like canvas on the outside. It looks like a beach bag, honestly. And I actually really like the inside that it's metallic because A, it makes it look a little bit more luxe, but also because it's nice and smooth and shiny, so it'd be easy to clean. I don't know how the outside of this is gonna hold up as far as it's staying clean. The texture leads me to believe that this white is gonna get jacked up really fast, but we'll see, I guess. Personally, I think it's cool that Claudia and Anastasia took into account what people wanted to see from them going forward and basically put out what the people wanted to see. One thing I did notice as I was using this palette is that a fair few number of these shades are kind of not exactly, but very closely dupable from the James Charles palette. So if you are dying for this and you can't afford it right now and you want to recreate some of the looks, you'll probably be able to do a lot of things that are very similar to the tutorials you're seeing if you have the James Charles palette. So I just wanted to put that out there in case you are like absolutely salivating over this and you can't get your hands on it right now, or you just don't have it in the budget. You could definitely get a lot of similar looks out of the James palette. So yeah, in conclusion, the purple's a little bit difficult to work with, but it's not impossible. Just, you know, maybe go into it using a slightly different approach. If you generally like to pack your color on, it might not work depending on how you prime it. I don't know, it might work out differently for you, but that's definitely what I experienced. Overall though, I had a lot of fun creating these looks. I would definitely purchase this palette again. Definitely not upset that I went out and bought it. In case you're wondering, I also purchased the Dewy set, but I haven't used it yet because I want to do a separate video reviewing it and then comparing it to similar product, and won't reveal quite yet what I'm doing with it, but that video should be up early next week. Let me know in a comment down below if you are picking up this palette, or if you ordered it and you're waiting for it, or if you already have it, what do you think? I would love to hear your thoughts. As always, I would super duper majorly appreciate it if you leave a like on this video. And also, if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe because I would love to have you around for future videos. We have so much fun stuff coming down the pipeline. And you know, it would just tickle my pickle if you would be here for it. If you would like to keep up with me between videos, I am at Miss Quinface pretty much everywhere you ever want to find me, but Instagram is where I post the most often, where I'm the most active. interactive where I run polls and all that kind of good stuff. And we talk about what's gonna go on here on this channel. You get sneak previews and lip art and all sorts of fun stuff. So I'd love to have you over there. That is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed these 3 looks and found my insights on the palette helpful if you were, on the fence about buying it. I appreciate you very much, and I will see you in the next one.